Yeah, what's good though? It's your man Big P, and here to share my thoughts. The first Showtime card of the year. First of all, I'd love to say that it was surpassed all my expectations. It was a great night of fights. Um, the first we started off with the three fights on Showtime Extreme. The first one was the Delorme fight versus I think it was Davis or whatever. That was pretty much the only dud fight. It was actually pretty uncomfortable to watch in a way because it was just Delorme just teeing off on the guy, and they kept on saying, "Oh, he had never been stopped before." But I mean, the guy wasn't doing anything. Like if you hear that, like okay, the guy at least can dish out some punishment. But in the end, all he was doing was just taking shots. He was just taking shots and offering blows and nothing to return. It was just uncomfortable to watch. I mean, that fight could have been stopped at least like 3 rounds earlier. So, thankfully, but it was stopped because I was like, that type of fight shouldn't go the distance. What if it's not competitive at all? So, I guess at least Delorme got himself back on the calm after. I think the last time I saw him fight was the loss to Terrence Crawford, like last year. So, guess we'll see where he goes from there. The next fight, though, was set things off lovely. It was Aleem versus Kaitrov. Now, this was an intriguing fight for middleweight contenders because both of them, of course, were undefeated. Kaitrov had more of I guess, more reputation. I mean, he was like 14-0 with 12 knockouts, and the middleweight with the insane work rate versus Aleem, although undefeated, had not scored a knockout in some time, and I think had fought to a draw in his last fight. So I'm looking over here. I'm thinking to myself, now I'm a fan of Aleem. Ever since I saw him on the Jack-Degale card, I'm like, I want to see what happens in this particular fight. For 6 rounds, it got nothing but a war. It was either Kaitrov's pressure and work rate versus Aleem's overhand rights, which he couldn't miss. In the end, after some give and take, after some ebb and flow, it was a monstrous overhand right in the 6th round that dropped Kaitrov again for it was the second time in the fight, and then he was just out on his feet. And then afterwards, some more punishment on the ropes, and that was it. I was like sweating after that fight. I was just like, it was so many ebb and flows. I was like, that fight should have been on the main card for real. That already put me my box kind of like up to here, and then the last fight was the women's fight, Serrano versus Rivas. It was a very interesting fight. I mean, it went the full distance, 10 rounds. The funny thing is, though, I don't understand why that particular fight is women's fights are 2-minute rounds. I mean, I'm pretty sure they train just as hard as the men do. So and then that, and they should also do 3-minute rounds. But nonetheless, the entertainment value on that was pretty high. Anyways, it was a very high. Pretty much from the first bout, they were just slugging away. It was just like there was no lull in action in the least. But in the end, I think Serrano won, and hopefully we'll see more women's boxing on the future Showtime or even HBO even too. And then afterwards, it took us to the main card, which the first was Pedraza versus Davis. Davis, of course, going for his first world title. And now my thing is Pedraza, I always felt was a little bit underrated. And in fact, I thought Davis wasn't necessarily ready for his title shot. So I mean, I thought Pedraza was going to win easy. Um, what Pedraza did in that fight, though, I don't understand. Because literally, like, I mean, he stood in front of the guy. I mean, he gave up his height. He gave up his height and his reach to slugging it on the inside. And I mean, I'm guessing the only thing that he was thinking is that that he was going to try to drown him late in the fight because Tank Davis had never been past 9, and I was thinking, okay, he maybe do that, but I was like, even with Tank's limitations, you can't stand in front of a guy like that, a puncher, and just try to bomb away, and hoping that foolhardy that he'll either gas out or whatever. Um, and I mean, honestly, for real, I thought it was gonna work, but I think he took a liver shot, Pedraza, and I think that literally took all the fight out of him. And then afterwards, it was just after that he was too much because you saw him switch stances a little bit, try to protect his side, and then afterwards he got caught up in the ropes again, and then he takes a monstrous right hook that pretty much that finishes the fight for him. So congrats to Tank, being the current youngest champion in boxing today, and again adding some more variety, to the 130-pound division. Pedraza, I think we're gonna go back to the drum board and figure out what the hell their fighting plan was. And as I mean, he still remains a player, but I just can't help but feel that it's just a stupid plan like that was, he losing that type of fashion, just giving up his advantages. And then the main event, of course, for 168 unification, Badou Jack versus Jack-Degale. This fight had a little bit of everything. It had your technical boxing, it had defense, it had brawling, it had, it was violent. I mean, even the ref got snuffed a little. It got snuffed in his face, trying to break them up at the end of the round. It had everything in this fight that can make it complete. It had traded knockdowns. There was a knockdown in the first round. There was a knockdown in the last round. It was an awesome fight. And I personally thought, I mean, I think I scored the fight for Jack 114-112, or 115-112. But nonetheless, I thought Jack won the fight. And unfortunately, it was kind of marred by a draw decision. It was a majority draw where the one judge that didn't score a draw gave the fight to Degale 114-112, which I don't have a problem with because it wasn't wide. I just feel for Jack, though, because this is like 2 fights in a row that he's gotten the short end of the stick of this. This is his back-to-back draws, which is rare. Still, I mean, it doesn't take away from the fight. The fight was unbelievable. It was excellent. I can't wait to watch the replay of it once I get a copy of it. And I know, I mean, Degale was pleading his case, but he looked terrible. I mean, he looked beat up, and then because he kept on spinning his mouthpiece too. I mean, he should have gotten a point taken away. And when you take your mouthpiece, he did it like 3 times during the fight, and the referee, I think I heard a warning, but then there was a time where he did spit out, and the ref didn't see it, and that should have been points taken off. Which if that occurred, then Jack would have unquestionably would have probably won the fight, probably on a split decision. So, and I don't blame Jack. I mean, I know Jack, was seething, and Degale was over there talking funny. He might have been concussed too, along with the missing teeth. And you see this, and you're like, and Floyd's on there talking this, that, and the third. I was like, I don't want to hear nothing from you, Floyd. At least not to the fighters. To your fighter speaks. And tells us what he thinks would happen. So yeah, I know they were saying rematch, but I know Jack's talking about he's going up to 175. So that kind of like, that, I mean, unless they want to form there or they want to do a catch weight. Yeah, but it sucks though because I was looking forward to someone holding 2 belts, and it was another draw. So it doesn't take away from the fight, which was excellent. And then, like I said, overall, like a Showtime, put on 2 for 2s. It's rare that you find like one night of boxing on one channel that you have like 2 fights that are legit Fight of the Year candidates, and this card had it. So kudos for Showtime for getting on the board, especially making up for Friday's PBC card, which was, to say the least, one-sided and terrible. So yeah, so until next time, all right, peace.